I'm Bill Pack, and I'm a fine art photographer. So what I try to do with my lighting is to look for those lines that represent what the designer's intentions were. A lot of times you'll see some imperfections where one side of the car, the person pounding it out was a little different than the other side of the car. And by working with my light to create restraint, keeping your eyes focused in one area, you begin to see things in a new way, and so they're revealed in a new way. And at that point, it actually goes beyond just being about the car. It goes into something bigger that says something more about human nature and why we build things and what attracts our eye, what compels us and drives us as humans. To show the restraint of my work, what gives an image depth are the highlights and the shadows. And a lot of car imagery is just lit to see all the sheet metal and to see everything at one take. With the restraint that I use, I back off from that and I look for particular sight lines, particular curves, particular angles that represented the thinking of the time of aerodynamics. And by just highlighting those areas and letting everything else fall into shadow, your eyes pulled into that, and it takes you into another way of looking at the car and viewing it as more of a piece of art as opposed to necessarily a car. I don't come from a car background. I come from an art and design background, and the cars attracted me because of that design and the art that I saw in the cars. So when it came to the stories, the in-depth stories, a lot of these cars, I was kind of a newcomer to all of that. And as I would work with the cars and work with the owners or work with the museums and learn more about these cars, the fact that there were the amount of people involved to create that shape and that form just became really compelling. And it was something that I wanted to dive more into, and it really directed where my work went and how it's progressed. Went to school at the Brooks Institute of Photography in Santa Barbara, California, and I went and came out with a degree in advertising. And so for about 25 years, I did advertising in the San Francisco area. I had a studio there. I did do some automotive work for advertising, but it was mostly food and still life. And it was there that I really started to understand lighting and how to use lighting. And at the time that I had my studio in San Francisco, it was a very creative time, and it was just perfect time to be there. And it really kind of cemented how I approach cars and the subjects that I work with. And I started working on small still life in San Francisco using my painting with light. Then when I approached the cars, I was thinking about that process, and I wanted a process where I could light cars so that I had the emotion that I could bring to it, yet be portable, to be able to move around and not have to be tied to a very large studio. Most of my work is all done in owners' collections or at museums or warehouses. Rarely have photographed any of my cars in a traditional studio setting. So when I started working with the cars, I just met some owners at a local car meet out in Atlanta, Georgia. I was living there at the time. Didn't know where this was going to go. I knew it was something I wanted to see what the potential was with it. So I worked with one collector. He introduced me to some other collectors, and then it just kind of grew from there. I got some interest from a upstart auction company up in New York, And so I worked with them a little bit, which gave me access to people and cars that I wouldn't have access to on my own. So I put together a book called V12 Automotive Art, and V12 was the name of my company for doing automotive commissions. Started taking that around to different concours, Amelia Island, Pebble Beach, and then that got the attention of a gentleman named Carter Emerson out of here in Phoenix area. So I got commissioned by the Phoenix Art Museum to do their Legends of Speed exhibition book. And that took me on a 13,000-mile road trip around the country to just some amazing collections. Photographed 21 iconic race cars, and took about 3 months to do the road trip, and it was just a wonderful experience. Then from that led to doing a project for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum, and put together a book for them called Epic Drama, which was 34 of their winning 500 race cars that they have in their permanent collection. I was able to be the lead on that project and brought in the designer, and Dwight Knowlton helped me with the writing, and Lynn St. James did the foreword for us. And that was quite an experience. We were doing it at the time inconvenient for the museum because it was getting into May when the 500 was going to happen. So I'd be down in the basement working with these icons from the past. It was during practices for the 500, and I would hear that year's hopeful cars out on the track just roaring around while I've got a winner from the 30s or the 40s or the 50s in front of me, and that was quite an experience. And it kind of hits me when I'm driving up to these very unique locations. I'll be sitting behind the camera figuring out the next shot, and then I'll just take a moment and look at what's in front of me. And I'm just like, I could have never imagined it. I'm looking forward to bringing my art to the Art House Collective, allowing you a chance to come and view the art and appreciate it as art, and take time to slow down and just see things from a different point of view.